company with us today on the Shannons Nationals live stream. We're coming to you from the Ben Motorsport Park in South Australia. I'm Aaron Noonan. Cameron Vandenunga is with us again. We're getting ready for S5000. That was what you could hear in the background. Cars leaving the pit lane to head around to the grid for their second qualifying race. And with this one, we mix it up a little bit with the grid.
Yeah, we go back to qualifying to get the results, and then we flip the top eight. So it'll be Winslow on pole with Tim Macro starting alongside him. A lot of work to do for Anton De Pasquale and Tom Randall.
Fast cars yesterday. Tom Randall won the first qualifying race yesterday, but because he qualified second in original qualifying, he starts seventh. So therefore, Anton De Pasquale, the pole man from yesterday's qualifying race, he will go to position 8. It's a 10-car field. It's a pile of really young, exciting drivers who have got open-wheeler backgrounds in the smaller category cars. Guys like Will Brown, guys like Anton De Pasquale, Tom Randall. Great to have James Winslow back racing in Australia this weekend too. It's a great field and a category that's really making waves.
And you cannot count out John Martin, the open-wheel pedigree of that driver. And look, I'm a bit biased. Back in the day, he was one of the first CAMS Rising Star drivers that won a national championship. A lot of experience, went to Europe, was part of the Nissan program as well. So he's a driver to watch out for.
Two runs for S5000 today. Later in the afternoon, there's a half-hour feature race. So we take the combined points from the two qualifying races, put them together, and that's the grid, how they will line up later on this afternoon. So it's one of those situations, it's a little bit like, I guess, Speedway with its grid format. So it mixes it up a little bit, gives everyone a chance. But what we will see now is the fast drivers have to really fight their way through. You can't cruise and collect. You've got to pass some cars to get the win.
I asked Tom Randall before he rolled out what was he expecting from Aero Wash. He goes, I don't know. I haven't followed anyone yet. He's got a lot to do. Tim Macro said that on cold tyres, following a car, it is a very difficult vehicle to drive, the S5000.
If you haven't seen S5000 from their debut at Sandown 2 months ago, or indeed this weekend so far on our live streaming coverage or on the SBS coverage, it's a single-seater open-wheeler. It's got the halo. It's FIA regulated. It is the bee's knees of open-wheeler racing. It's a Coyote Ford V8 engine. It's 560 horsepower. It is sounding fantastic as the cars roll around to the grid behind me. Big, fat Hoosier racing tyres. It's the simple formula that I guess it's got some IndyCar to it in its sound and its feel. It's single-seater racing that's really got that inspiration from the 70s of the great years of Formula 5000.
One of the best parts about this, though, is the Australian innovation and engineering. So much of these cars are designed and built here in Australia. Gary Rogers Motorsport put most of the car together, Innovate did all the ancillaries around that block you talked about, and Motec as well. It's just a great Australian collaboration.
And we're going to see them on the track. They're lining up on the grid, getting ready for the second qualifying race. Let's head up to commentary to call the action. Greg Rust and Matt Nolte.
Gentlemen, good morning. You've got the best seat in the house down there in pit lane as we get set for qualifying race number 2 of the S5000s. They were a real hit here yesterday afternoon, but as the boys touched on, we flipped the grid around for the top 8 from qualifying for this one. So a bit of experience on the front row. Greg Rust, good morning to you. Looking forward to this one with a UK driver and the guy with the most experience in the field on the front row.
I was away doing some Formula 1 stuff when Sandown was on, and I have missed this. Yesterday was phenomenal. 12 laps to come here. Macro and Winslow on the front row. That's the view from the car that Rubens Barrichello drove at Sandown this weekend in the hands of Anton De Pasquale, who's been superb as he continues to grow in supercars, and it was a last lap stunner in qualifying for him that secured the S5000 pole. Here we go.
So we'll let him loose for a formation lap. Jimmy Golding, who won the first feature race at Sandown back in September. We ride on board with the Boost Mobile entry, car number 31, as they start putting heat into these Hoosier tyres on the Max Dumsley Motorsport Max Wheel Racing wheels, and get set for another 12 laps around here. Like the boys touched on, the feature race later on this afternoon. The total points from both these races will set the grid for that one. And my goodness me, we got some talent in the field. There is Anton De Pasquale, you got Michael Gibson, and we welcome sprint car star Braden Wilmington into the field. He'll start out at position number 10 here today, aboard that 89.
You cannot wipe the smile off Braden's face. How excited is he? Guy that's got experience in speed cars, or what the Speedway fraternity affectionately know as midgets, sprint cars as well, raced in America. Very different style of racing this is. So the growth curve is huge, Matt. And his dad back in the day was a very experienced privateer in touring car racing in this country.
And he's here this weekend as well. We talk about the great Gary Wilmington, who started 21 times at Mount Panorama. We'll take a look at your grid for qualifying race 2. UK-born racer James Winslow starts in the Astron Tech entry alongside Tim Macro. Ricky Capo starts out of position number 3 alongside James Golding. We go back to the middle row with Will Brown and John Martin, who was having understeer issues with his car yesterday. Tom Randall with the sore fingers from having it shut in a door yesterday. An off-track excursion will start at position number 7. Anton Di Pasquale out of 8. And at the back, Michael Gibson and Braden Wilmington. We reversed the top 8 only. That's why those two are starting at the back of the field for this one. 12 laps around this 4.95, 18-turn course at the Ben Motorsport Park on a beautiful Sunday morning.
Big shout out to all of the officials and marshals here at the Ben Motorsport Park, those from the Confederation of Australian Motorsport that have been working tirelessly. And the work, Matt, continues even now. I think they've had a bit of a think overnight about some curb hopping in various classes at turn 13. Now, I can tell you, our eagle-eyed and very experienced cameraman Dave Lovell is over in that part of the track. He's just reported seeing a tyre bundle being moved into position over there to maybe cut some of that stuff out. So we'll see the impact of that as the races unfold this afternoon.
There they are, right on cue on the right-hand side. They'll be dragged out later on. This is where the point that Rusty's talking about, the climb up the hill. They were using the inside, and there it is, confirmation of the tyres. A couple of old drag racing tyres in there as well on that stack. You won't move them in a hurry once they're out there this afternoon, but that's to deter them from using the inside.
Are they straight from your road car?
They are, yeah. They've had enough.
You love your white walls, don't you?
Just imagine it, right? Jimmy Golding brings us on to the main straight here in the Boost Mobile entry. We had an overcast day yesterday, and again, the winds picked up. It was quite calm here yesterday, but a crosswind, which is pretty standard here at the Ben Motorsport Park.
Not everybody loves the notion of jumbling a grid. We're about to get going here, so we'll focus on the racing. But I love the fact that Winslow and Macro are very experienced. They'll be hard to get past. Golding, Capo, tenacious. We know how good Will Brown and Johnny Martin are. Then you've got Thomas Randall and Di Pasquale coming through. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be an epic race.
And if you weren't here yesterday, it's your first appearance here at the Ben Motorsport Park. The noise will blow your mind as the lights come on. 10 S5000 cars, and it's blast off in qualified race number 2. Again, it's a start from James Golding from that second row. Straight down the middle is Tim Macro. Winslow in second position. Martin in that blue and yellow AGI Sport entry will drop back into 4th position because Golding in the Boost Mobile entry is trying to stay on the outside. There's Tom Randall trying to make up a position down the inside and on the dirt here.
Di Pasquale looks like he's in a better position. This is aggressive stuff from Thomas Randall as those guys work their way. They've picked up a couple of spots. We jump on board now with Michael Gibson, the WM Waste car. Huge amount of experience within the team, within the group of people working on this one. And he lock up. That's a lock up from Capo. Saves it, gets it back online.
And lucky not to chop the nose off the WM Waste entry down there at the turn 6 hairpin. So round through turn 7, 8 and 9, the continuous right-hand turn here at the Ben Motorsport Park and up towards the back section of this circuit. It's Macro from Golding, Winslow. That's the top 3. And already a 5-car scrap developing through turn 9 and 10 now.
Look at this. Martin looks aggressive as he tries to find a way past the Astron Tech entry in the hands of James Winslow. They get a little loose out of there, still on those cold Hoosier tyres. They're lively. So much power, 560 horsepower in fact from those Coyote V8 engines, and they sound magnificent. Macro has loads of experience with these cars. We've seen him throughout the year demonstrating the capability of S5000, but in real terms, Matt, he doesn't have a lot of experience at the Bend Motorsport Park. Handful of laps in a Radical, that's about it.
Yeah, exactly right. But he's been the test and development driver for the S5000 category with the single car that was launched late last year. It's been doing demonstration laps at various circuits around the country, but now we're in real race trim as the first lap is in the books. Macro, Golding right on the back. Gee, I've been impressed with Golding. He's going for the lead here on the dirty side of the track, gets it done, but Macro will fight back here and repays the favour. Good move.
Ripper racing, great stuff by both of them. Golding, young, aggressive. Macro, so much experience in Formula 3 and Gold Star terms, and with these cars in particular. Replay, here we go.
So he pulls out, there's the dirt from when Randall come back onto the circuit, and he knew he was in a bit of trouble here, and Macro just waited to pick up the pieces, got the job done down the exit there of turn number 3.
This is good for Macro as Di Pasquale and Randall continue to battle away here. Macro didn't feel like he'd done the best job with the car so far this weekend, but I think a few of them We're going to have a big swing here at setup changes. Another one that did that overnight was Johnny Martin, so hopefully that's paying dividends as we work towards the feature race this afternoon.
Two heavily experienced open wheel guys that really struggled with understeer in their cars yesterday. John Martin was one of them there in the blue and yellow AGI Sport entry, and Will Brown, who had this car was in the wilderness on Friday when he was out here for practice. I've never seen him so down in the doldrums when he got out of that car, but it looks like that's turned back around. He runs in 5th position in that KMC Wheels Eggleston Motorsport prepared entry. He runs behind James Winslow as down the inside, a phantom look maybe from Randall on Di Pasquale as they try to move up through the field here.
This is good stuff. Give you a sense of the speed here. Listen to this. Some thunder of S5000. Thomas Randall said to me, you can expect speeds around 280 k's an hour in the main straight. Now that's good. Capo's been able to get by him. Good stuff from Ricky Capo in the 34.
And tries to cover him off and does it nicely down there. So he splits Di Pasquale and Tom Randall now. These guys just outside the top 5, while Tim Macro has less than a second on Golding. John Martin sets a 1:43.96. We're still about 2 seconds away from the times we saw yesterday. But we know these Hoosier tyres get better as the race evolves.
We're tenths away yesterday from an outright lap record. Fastest we've seen from an S5000 car here, when nearly at the end of the race, Thomas Randall got down into a low 1:41. He said prior to this race, Matt, and off goes Winslow. Now that was from a strong 3rd place as well. Just to round out that point, he thought a 1:40 lap was possible today, Tom Randall.
May well be the case later on. At the moment he's busy trying to repay Ricky Capo at the top of turn number 13. That's tragic circumstances for James Winslow. He drops down to position 8 now. Here it is on the Actron Air replay. And there he is going off into the dirt. And it's around that sequence, around turn 7, 8 and 9. We've seen cars do that over the weekend. And Winslow, no stranger in that department, he now runs down the bottom of the field. In fact, he's behind. Gibson puts Wilmington up into 8th position. Keep an eye on Tom Randall. Made a couple of spots up, but they're losing touch with Macro. This is the position.
No apologies if you're in trouble at home for cranking up the volume. That's awesome.
So many people commented yesterday saying we love the noise of these S5000 cars, and I'm sure a lot of people have made the journey up from Adelaide and the surrounding suburbs to check it out here. The first appearance of S5000 at the Bend Motorsport Park here in South Australia. The final round of this year's Shannons National Series. We watched Tom Randall, the Penrite, the Vilbis Scandia sponsored number 49 through the turn 5 section to the hairpin.
They're on the international layout here. Remember that the Bend Motorsport Park has all different kinds of configurations they can use, from the long 7.7k GT layout to the international circuit here, which is 4.9k's. I've got to say, great place and great layout to showcase these cars. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, perfect example. And the track that just continues to get better and better. There's so much more still to come with the Bend Motorsport Park, the four-wheel drive track, the go-karting track, potentially a drag racing track will be built over the back here in the coming years. Really well done to everybody here at this amazing venue. Lap 4 at 12, Di Pasquale, Capo and Randall.
They've not been able to make ground here, have they, I thought? I mean, Brown is so experienced, that wouldn't be an easy mission. He's the next target ahead of Anton Di Pasquale, but they've not really made inroads. We go back to the front. It's on between Macro and Golding. Golding is stitching together some great sectors here, Matt, so maybe just played a little bit of a waiting game. 8 laps to go this time by. Fastest lap, though. Macro responds. He can tell. He can see in the mirrors. Look at it in the background. Bit of dirt being kicked up there, and Capo's going to get by Di Pasquale. Awesome stuff from Ricky Capo.
Was it too early? No, he'll get this done nicely. He passed him right in the middle of the straight, and that had to be for the mistake off the exit of the final turn there at turn number 18. So Ricky Capo on the charge with two very talented guys. That's taking nothing away from Capo. He's heavily experienced as well. We know how good these two guys were yesterday in qualifying in that first race.
The fastest lap of the race belongs to Macro with a 1:42.97. It's 0.91 between he and James Golding at the moment. Golding is responding. Look at this here. Tom Randall gets it done, and it looked a little awkward for Di Pasquale. Off the corner did it, so...
Bit of a lock up, and that was enough. They bumped wheels on the exit too as well. You can see the front wing shudder on the pace spots at 99. So Randall moves up another position. We'll head down to pit lane.
This is great for Tim Macro. We got reports from him overnight that he was just chasing an issue with his shift. He had Motec working frantically to ensure that he had a good quality car underneath him. It looks like they've fixed those issues, though. He is blisteringly quick.
He was a little coy with me, Cam, before the race. I think he felt like some of the things he was battling may not have been fixable here, that he might, with that crew that he's now formed, he's got his own workshop and his own outfit, that it might be something he needs to fix during the summer break, but they've clearly got on top of it here. Macro leads the way by a second over James Golding, who made a ripping start. Johnny Martin sits in third. They're your provisional top three or podium finishers in this one. Nice times being put together by Will Brown, who now goes fastest for the race so far, a 42.70. We're not quite down to the 41s like we saw yesterday just yet.
Another lap in the books, so we're halfway home here on this lap. Capo and Randall, these guys 5th and 6th on the circuit right now. A clean affair apart from James Winslow's spin down at turn 9 earlier in the race. He runs in 9th position now, ahead of Michael Gibson, I should say. Wilmington runs in 8th position. Let's jump on top of the Boost Mobile entry of James Golding. He continues to stay in touch with Tim Macro. The gap has not exceeded 1 second all race long. Love this portion, this continual turning right, climbing the hill here at the Bend Motorsport Park. Change of direction and into the slower point at turn 12.
There was a comment at the bottom of the Facebook page, our Shannons Nationals live stream yesterday, from a viewer who said, hey, love what you guys are doing, no disrespect, but we love it when you shut up. We can hear that.
Actually, so do we.
We got no problem with that. We have no problem with that.
They are sweet sounding machines, 560 horsepower. And they really do look at home here at the Bend Motorsport Park. We watched John Martin, the AGI Sport entry. The man originally from Gosford, former Super League Formula champion, driving for a guy called Adam Gotch, who spent a lot of time in Formula One with the Williams team. In fact, he was John Martin's manager back in the A1 GP days as well. So it's a bit of a reunion, I guess, for these two.
It was a happy hunting ground for him when TCR was last here in the mid part of the year, but he was a bit perplexed when I spoke to him yesterday. The fan in us goes, well, we love the fact that they're going from one car straight to another. That's what racers used to do back in the day and compete in a variety of categories. But he said as a pure racer looking to extract those last, little minute things that make you a better competitor, he said it's very hard to do that. It's quite a mindset shift when you get out of that Honda Civic Type R and into these amazing race cars. Randall runs a little bit wide as he continues to chase Ricky Capo. That hurts him. Golding's kept the margin to a second, Matt, I should point out to, and at various points of the track, particularly the first sector, he looks strong.
And they're trading fastest laps between the two of each other right now. Here they are coming around to complete the 7th lap of this race, whizzing on by. 1:42.7, still the fastest lap of the race now for Will Brown. While Macro, this great Gary Rogers, looks on. And no doubt loving the sound. A very proud guy. They've had a lot to do with the development of this S5000 category to get it to where it is, along with Chris Landon and the team and the good folk from Innovate Engines up in Brisbane as well. Really has the makings of a sensational 2020 season. Now Randall tries to get back in touch with Ricky Capo, who himself locked the brake at the top of turn number 14. These guys running down in 6th position, 5th and 6th position.
They're selling some cool comic shirts, aren't they, this weekend? for Gary Rogers. So passionate about his racing still. Here we go. This is the move on Braden Wilmington, and it's James Winslow getting past. That's for 9th place. This will be good for Braden. I mean, he's talked, Gary said to me before the race started, his dad, that he's loving it. It's all about getting comfortable in the car and making inroads, just finding the big chunks of time they need. And that can only come with miles and experience, Matt.
Well, he only qualified with a 46.8, Braden Wilmington. He's done a 45.7 today, so already he's improving. If he stays with Winslow, as we take a look at the Actron Air replay down at turn number 1 of Winslow getting the job done, just to stay with Winslow now is the way to go. He's just been running his own race all weekend long, but now he gets to race with some experience and learn a bit more with every lap. And
such a radically different race car. I can't highlight that enough for you. Even the seating position, how you lay down low, and you know, you're almost lying down in some respects in these cars. But in a sprint car, it's like you're sitting
on a bar stool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Total different discipline. But round to the final turn comes Capo and Tom Randall, while John Martin now sets the fastest lap of the race, and we're into the 42s, a 42.3. In fact, the top 5 in the 42s. Backs up our point about how good these Hoosier tyres get as the race picks up here. Beautiful day. Sun is really beaming down. We're looking for temperatures in the low 20s here in Tailem Bend in South Australia, about an hour and 20 to the southeast of downtown Adelaide. Feature race to come up later on this afternoon. And that'll be the real test, because we didn't really get to see how good these cars were over a long distance at that shortened event at Sandown back in September, with a big crash with Alex Davison and Matt Brabham on the back straight. Lap 9 of 12.
Looking forward to you doing your weather reporting career. You're a big fan of the hectopascals, I know that. Golding, 0.8 of a second between he and Macro. So Jimmy's chipping here. There he is in the Boost Mobile entry. Just gradually, Macro with all of that experience, even though he doesn't know the Bend Motorsport Park all that well and is still getting to grips with it. He knows the cars exceptionally well. Golding, he's one of those tenacious youngsters, and looking forward to seeing where he lands in season 2020. We alluded to it yesterday, played the hypothetical game. Would love to see him have a full crack at S5000 next year if he ended up, for some reason, just becoming, say, a co-driver for the endurance events in supercars.
Absolutely. And you remember, it's only a few seasons ago that he was an apprentice mechanic at Gary Rogers Motorsport. He was an unknown. He came out of karting. All of a sudden, he was racing for the Dragon team in Super 2. And then there was talk about him going to the big time. And he really applied himself to it.
Credit to Gary Rogers for giving him the opportunity.
Look at the speed gun here, trying to pick up how quick they're going. Sport. We showed 272 kilometres an hour with the crosswind down the straight. That is impressive from these S5000 cars. Closing laps of this one. And Macro starting to shut the race down. Gap is still less than a second. Golding runs behind him and John Martin. There's the Boost Mobile entry. And we still, Randall has not made an impact here on Ricky Cap. Love that corner, the way they veer to the left and then down to turn 6 of the hairpin. A genuine passing opportunity that we've seen happen on several occasions here over the weekend. But Ricky Capo has really come to terms with this Valvoline-sponsored number 34.
Some suggestion this may be the last lap, so we'll just keep an eye on things at the finish line. Matt, Randall is now the fastest man on track. So we'll just see what that final lap looks like. We haven't broken into the 41, so maybe that warmer, slightly warmer conditions that Matt spoke about before has played a part. There's Will Brown, won the TCR race yesterday. He's got an unbeatable lead in points terms in Car Sales Australia TCR, which you'll see a little bit later today. 2 races for them to come. Wants to finish the year in style. Up in front, Macro about to take it out from James Golding. Martin has made some progress here. It's down to a second between Martin and Golding in that fight for third, but it looks like it's all done. Race number 2 of the weekend goes to Tim Macro with the feature to come this afternoon. Well done to James Golding, and Martin rounds out the 3.
Great result, and just the turnaround that Tim Macro was looking for after a spin during original qualifying yesterday. He spun during the feature race at Sandown, and now gets a win next to his name by 1.1 seconds. We're right on board with Michael Gibson on his way around to finish the race. Winslow got ahead of Wilmington. in the closing stages. Martin was third, Will Brown, Ricky Capo, and Tom Randall will be the top 6. And looking on our screen, the combined points would put Randall still on pole for this afternoon in the feature race, which has the makings of a thriller as this crowd look on. And I'm sure in amazement at these S5000s. There'll be generations here today too, Rusty, that have seen these cars back in the 70s and go, yep, that's exactly what they were like.
You've only got to take a walk in the paddock area behind the garages where these cars are, and there's lots of people coming for a look. When they were warming up the cars prior to this race, everyone hanging around, soaking it up. Macro takes it out by just over a second from Golding. John Martin, fastest lap of the race, Matt, 1 minute 42.18. So maybe he's had a bit of understeer, as you talked about yesterday. Perhaps they're dialing some of that out, which is good. Randall looks strong towards the end. He finished 6th. Stage is set for a good final race of the weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Winslow, after that spin, dropped down and eventually would finish in 8th position. Here's the highlights though. Qualifying race number 2 of the S5000s. This was Tom Randall trying to make the move. Doesn't tend to work on the dirt down there at turn 3. But that was really as far as he got.
Yeah, it was a surprise. We thought some of those mid-pack runners would really challenge these guys. Golding early on, a little bit of dirt had come onto the track from that move by Thomas Randall, and straight back around went Tim Macro. Off the circuit went James Winslow. That hurt him. He would eventually recover to finish in 8th place.
Long way off in the dirt there for car number 8. This was a lock-up from Anton Di Pasquale at the turn 6 hairpin, and that opened the door for the Penrite, the Vilbis entry to make the move. This was James Winslow on his way back through the field, passing Braden Wilmington, but Tim Macro getting the job done here nicely. 1.1 seconds clear of James Golding. John Martin, Will Brown and Ricky Capo will be the top 5 in the qualifying race 2. Noons, another stellar race in this incredible category.
Matt, Tim Macro, James Golding and John Martin have pulled into the stop area now. So we have determined the points for the feature race this afternoon, and by my quick numbers, Tom Randall will get the pole and John Martin will be on the front row. But for Tim Macro right now, it's about a win in qualifying race 2, and he is one happy man. A hug for Barry Jones, his engineer. They've worked really hard to get this car into position. We'll dive on in here as he takes his helmet off. Yesterday in qualifying, he was stranded on the track on a curb and qualified 7th, but with the way that the reverse top 8 works, it put him on the front row and he was not headed. Tim Macro's been a winner so far this year at Sandown in the qualifying race. He's going to go over and steal a hat. You know what though? I'm going to go and swap that hat and I'm going to put this hat on you. The Who's Your Tyres doing their thing. Hey, well done. Great job. I know that you've put a lot of work into this and you've had some dramas this weekend, but it all makes it worthwhile when this stuff happens.
Absolutely. We've had a pretty up and down weekend, to say the least. I've made some mistakes, had some little issues along the way, but it's great to get a win. Doesn't matter if it's reverse grid. I'm happy just to win the race.
Looked like it was easy, was it?
No, definitely not. This track's hard work in these cars. They're very heavy, especially going down through the double right, down the back. And but we brought it home, you know, and the guys have done a brilliant job to get the car back to where it is, and, you know, can't wait for the last race.
I'll give you a hat back too, by the way. There you go. There he is, Tim Macro. We'll head around to P2 in qualifying race 2. James Golding aboard the Boost Mobile 31 car. Winner of the feature race at Sandown. You got yourself in a spot here for this race this afternoon. How'd that one roll?
Yeah, pretty good. Obviously got 2 then, so starting off P4 and got a good start. Try to move on Tim down at turn 3 there. Didn't quite pull it off. There's a bit of dirt on the inside, so it's a good race and I really enjoyed that one. So, you know, we need to probably try and get a bit more out of the car so we can, you know, compete a bit more competitively with the other guys. I don't know what their times were further down the field, but yeah, we'll get some speed out of it and hopefully we can go for the win.
It was a great move you launched on him down the inside there, just that bit of dirt there. Did you think, I've got this done, this is my spot?
No, I knew I was going to be close, but I didn't really allow for the dirt on the inside. It's a bit caught me out there, but lucky to hold on to it actually. But yeah, it's good. That's what you need in these things. Good racing.
Yeah, it was great. Good job, James Golding. There he is, P2 for GRM and Boost Mobile. Head down to the man who's been P3 in both the qualifying races, and the good news is, John Martin, the AGI Sport car, you are on the front row for the feature race as a result of a couple of thirds. You're in a good spot for later on.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that. Giddy up. Sweet. All right. That's good. Because we kind of feel like we're kind of playing a bit of catch up, but we're getting there. So it's AGI boys have done an amazing job, really, and we've tuned it up again for this race. Still a lot to go through, but we'll see if we can sort it out a bit more for the final, and give it heaps.
Car better today than yesterday, or worse?
Just opposite ends, really. So it's a bit of push yesterday. We kind of overshot a little bit, but overall I'd say it's better. just yeah, it's so hard to follow through the middle sector. So it's just is such high speed. I mean, the thing's fifth gear. I don't know what speed it is, well over 200. But I mean, it's cool. But yeah, just in a race sort of situation there, it's just quite difficult to pass. So we'll yeah, hopefully get a good start in the final and yeah, lead from the front.
Good luck this afternoon.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Cam, there is John Martin. He'll be on the front row alongside Tom Randall for the feature race of S5000. Can't wait for that one. He's got a Honda in TCR to drive later on today as well.
Well, we've got our pole man for the main race. It may not feel like it after that qualifying, but Tom Randall, congratulations, and it's going to be a big afternoon.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks to all the guys at BRM, giving me a great car, and thanks to everyone on board. You know, Penrite, DeVilbus, Scandia, and Burson Auto Parts. It's been an awesome weekend so far, and yeah, it was a bit of an anticlimactic race for me. Yeah, just sort of didn't want to overshoot it at the start, and yeah, I didn't realise what it was going to be like to race these guys. So I think now I've got a better idea going into the next one. So hopefully the plan can be we just take off from pole and lead the race and get the win. But yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in my performance. Thought I could have done better in that race. But yeah, it's tough when you're behind cars around here. So they're really fast corners here. So it's a bit hard to keep with them in the high speed stuff. But yeah, nonetheless, having a blast, and yeah, looking forward to starting off pole for the feature race.
Good luck this afternoon.
Cheers, thank you.
We cannot wait. We hope it's the same for you. Good job by Tim Macro. Matt Nolte, you stick around. You're doing a good job. We'll have you back for TCR.
Thanks a lot.
S5000 this afternoon. We'll grab a commercial break. Love your thoughts on the live stream. What do you think of S5000? More from the Bend right after this.